live here on Facebook, like to those listening in podcast land, and also like to say hello to my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
Doing good, Mike. Yeah, doing good. Had a nice trip down to Texas. Now I'm back, and with back in the cold weather, as we were welcomed to snow during the overnight period, and also so I had a driveway to shovel when I woke up the next morning after getting home.
Yeah, you know what? I'm amazed at the amount of snow that we have. I'll have to tell you about it later.
Okay.
Anyway, so Rich, we still have one more group to welcome.
We do. We have the folks watching us on YouTube who are the only folks, along with our podcast listeners, that got to hear the entire show.
Yeah.
As we got to apologize to the Facebook folks that may or may not watch us every single morning,
Yep.
every single day, every single week, as Facebook decided to cut us off unexpectedly because of an audio clip that you played from YouTube.
Yeah, and I made an argument against it, but they had cut us off at that point, so there wasn't anything we could do about it. But okay,
But lesson learned, if anything, lesson learned.
Yep.
So we know not to do that again.
So Rich, we got a big show today. In that show, we have obviously the biggest topic of them all. We have a football game to talk about.
Yeah.
And very specifically an injury and everything that went along with it. We got lots of stuff. We're going to give you our perspective on some of those things and what that's going to look like, along with our recap for last week and our looking forward to next week's football.
Yeah, and along the lines of football, we got to recap the bowl games.
Yep.
That we made predictions on, as well as give you our prediction for the College Football National Championship. And the Cubs have a new first baseman.
Yeah, all that and more. But Rich, what's it time to do?
Mike, let's go ahead and roll that intro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.
All right, the folks got a little bit of a sneak peek of what we do while that intro is being played.
Absolutely.
We're kind of unplugged this week.
Yeah. Okay, so Rich, first things first, we have our poll question.
Yes, we do, Mike. And it was Narcos with the entrance song of Mets closer Edwin Diaz going up against pop phenomenon Wild Thing, which was featured very heavily in the movie Major League with Ricky Vaughn. But it also was used in the major leagues by Mitch Williams.
Yeah.
With the early 90s Philadelphia Phillies. So, Mike, are you bringing up the poll results?
I would, but I'm not logged into your Wi-Fi.
Okay, let me see if I can bring it up here real quick. So, Mike, while I'm doing that, how did you vote, Mike?
I voted for Wild Thing.
So did I.
I didn't know Narco that well.
It was a big hit this year. It just kind of came onto the scene. And it's weird our poll is not on here, even though I know it is. That is so weird. Let me switch over to fans of Balls and Sticks, because it must not have gotten shared over there correctly. Okay, we had 5 votes this week, and it was 4-1. So Josh Hendricks voted for Narcos.
Okay, he apparently knows what that is. I had no clue. So
It is a cool video, though.
It is.
Really cool entrance song.
Yeah.
So this week we're going to be going back to regular songs, as we're going to go with What I Like About You and In the Air Tonight.
Ooh, I love those 2 songs. I'm not sure how I'm going to vote, but I know I'll be able to vote at 11 when you get that live.
That's right, 11 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, Mike. So Week 17 in the NFL, do you want to start with the big headline of Week 17, or do you want to go over our predictions first?
Well, since how it was the last game of the week, let's put it at the last thing we talk about for Week 17.
All right.
So, Rich, how did we do on our locks of the week?
Well, because the locks of the week, Mike. I went with the Chiefs over the Broncos. It was a narrow victory, but the Chiefs still pulled it off as they won 27-24, improving me on my locks 12-3-1. Mike went with the Eagles over the Saints, and the Saints pulled an upset.
Yeah, they did.
As Gardner Minshew could not guide the Eagles to a victory, as they lost 20-10, dropping your record to 11-6. With the Bears, we both went with the Lions, Mike. What happened in that game?
Well, the Lions destroyed the Bears 41-10, bringing my record to 14-2. Rich, you are at 11-5. And the Bears are at 3-13. Now, our upset specials. Rich, you picked a game that got suspended.
Yep.
And then canceled.
I did.
So,
but before we start talking about that game, how did your upset go, Mike?
I'm gonna amend the score. You were at 8-8. You had picked the team that was up. I'm going to give you the win.
I'm not going to take it.
Okay.
I'm not going to take it because it did not go as a win, loss, or a tie in the NFL record books. So I'm going to stay at 8-8.
Okay. Rich, I picked the Texans over the Jags. The Jags won. I figured that would happen. I just really wanted it.
Okay.
Because, again, like I said last week, I painted the scenario that if the Texans win either last week or this week, it means the Bears are playing for if they lose, the Bears would guarantee the first overall pick, which is what I want them to do.
And they're setting themselves up for a good number one pick scenario, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, and then we got a whole offseason to talk that over.
Yeah. So the big story of NFL Week 17 happened in that Monday night game between the Bills and the Bengals. 7-3 Bengals.
Yep.
With not even finished through the first quarter.
Yeah, there's 10 minutes left in the first quarter, if I remember correctly, something in that range.
Okay.
And what looks like a routine play.
I think it was like a routine play.
It was a routine play, a routine tackle by DeMar Hamlin from tackling T. Higgins. Wasn't violent. No, if you would have stopped it immediately after the hit, you would have been like, oh, that's why is this making the highlight reel? You would have never thought anything of it. But DeMar Hamlin stands up and then falls to the ground.
And he doesn't get back up.
He doesn't get back up. Now, we don't know what's going on. The fans don't. The TV announcers don't. I reach out to you. I say, Rich, you got to be watching this. You were in the middle of stuff. You were doing family time. You did the right thing. You stayed doing family stuff.
We had no way to watch ESPN anyway.
That's okay. It was on ABC, actually.
Oh, it was an ABC game?
It was an ABC game.
Oh, okay.
Really disturbing. They come back. They're like, hey, there's some crazy stuff going on. There's medical personnel around him. Doing CPR on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And they immediately are doing violent CPR. And finally get him into an ambulance, take him to the hospital. We don't know at that point. We have no actual clue what happened or what's going on. Conflicting reports.
Yep.
Totally conflicting reports. According to ESPN, and everybody's favorite announcer,
Mr. Joe Buck.
Everybody's favorite announcer, Joe Buck, they say the teams have been told they have 5 minutes to get ready and get back on the field. Now, we're just going through it as a timeline. We won't give commentary until afterwards when I'll interject some things.
Okay, go on.
Because there's lots of things to talk about on this.
And you watched it live. I read about the things after the games that already ended.
Yep.
after the game was called.
At one point, you see the teams, you see the Bills team get in a circle, they stop, they pray, they were blocking off what was going on the field so you couldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
Then they all go around and pray they take a knee. I'm not going to say they prayed. They claim to pray, but I don't know. I wasn't in it. They actually don't. Nobody has a recording of what was happening in that huddle. They said they took a knee. We assume they prayed. We'll go with that. That's fine. We'll get into that in a little bit. We got some stuff to talk about there, but we won't get into it too heavily. And then you see Stephon Diggs calling out his team and looks like he's hyping them up, getting them ready to do what they got to do. And you see Joe Burrow pick up a football and throw it back and forth with some guys. They are warming up. Then the two head coaches, about 3 minutes left before they're supposed to get back, from what we've been told, the head coaches get together with the head official and they say, we're not doing this. We don't know we don't know exactly what was said there, but what the outcome is, both teams walked to the locker room. They gave each other a hug. They gave each other a handshake. Both teams walked to their respective locker rooms. That's what happened. And we're sitting here, still no clue what's going on. We don't know what actually happened. We don't know. We know that CPR was administered. We know that.
And he left the field in an
ambulance. We know nothing else. 24, well, okay.
Well, let's pause right there. Did they operated under normal circumstances?
Right.
Whether it was a confirmed notice from the league of, all right, they're going to have 5 minutes to warm up, and Joe and Buck and Aikman just got to kind of kill time.
Yep.
And kind of talk about what happened on the field from what they saw. Do you think Joe Buck did anything wrong in operating under normal circumstances, saying that we've been told that they got 5 minutes, that the play should resume in about 5 minutes as the players need time to warm up?
The team at ESPN did an amazing job.
Good.
They did everything correct. Now, we know stuff on this end. Let's finish through the whole narrative of the week, because we have a whole week's. This game ends up being a whole week's worth of stuff.
It did.
There are things that we found out yesterday that is the reason we titled. We normally don't acknowledge the actual reason why we title the week. We hit the topic, but we never say why we titled it. Yesterday's news is why we titled it. That's the hint.
Mm-hmm.
Most of you already know what happened, but if you don't, if you get your sports news from these two guys, good on you.
Yep.
But beyond that, yesterday's news is what brought this. What was why we could say what we said as our title. Praise the Lord. We'll get that. We'll put a pin in that, and we'll come back. Okay. So Monday morning, or late Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember his name, but this guy most people have never heard of posted Damar Hamlin his heart stopped on the field. They were able to revive him. His vital signs are back. He's in critical condition. Most people didn't know who this guy was and said, what's your source? Because Adam Schefter wasn't posting it.
Mm-mm.
Ian Rappaport wasn't posting it. ESPN wasn't posting it. No one that we look at as credible was posting it. Come to find out that it is his media director. It's Damar Hamlin's media director and manager. We didn't know it at the time. He said it, but there was very little anything to confirm it. The next day, we find out what happened. We watched Damar Hamlin die on the field. His heart stopped beating. on the field. He was dead. And those medical personnel on that field, through CPR and an AED, that's an automated, I can't remember the whole thing, but it's a defibrillator.
Mm-hmm.
Automated electrical defibrillator, I think is what it is. They brought, with that and the CPR, they were able to get his heart back working and get him breathing. Now, he was still given oxygen as he was leaving. One thing that gave me comfort, by the way, thing gave me comfort. They waited for his mom to get down to the ambulance
before it left
the stadium. What that tells me is he was critical, but they knew that they had enough time, and they knew that he was at least well enough to get him to wait for his mama to get on an ambulance. Because if they didn't, what they do is they say, put her in a cop car, we'll meet her there. Mm-hmm. And they would have gotten her down to the field, gotten her in a cop car, and the cops would have brought her there. I knew at that moment that it wasn't, I knew it was serious, but I knew he had to be at least back to a point where they felt that it wasn't life or death, that they get them there in a matter of moments. I knew that's me. That's how I interpreted it. Not a lot of other people did, but if you think about it, it makes sense. 2. So that's Monday. Monday, the report we get is his heart stopped. They revived him. They brought him back to life. He's in critical condition. He's being sedated in order for his body to do some recovery before they bring him out of it to see what's going on. So that was Tuesday morning. Wednesday morning, we get the news that he's showing signs of improvement, but it's not all good news. We know that he's showing signs of improvement, but he's not out of the woods yet. Yeah. Well, he's still sedated.
I think where I read was that they actually also have to resuscitate him at the hospital a second time.
So his uncle had said that, and then later that day, that report was actually proven to be wrong.
Oh, okay.
His uncle went on a morning show and said that, according to his care team, and according to his manager, that was not exactly how it worked.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes, things had to be done. He had to be sedated. He had to have some other stuff done in order for him. But according to his care team and all of that report was false. Might have been a misunderstanding. I don't think anybody was doing it out of malice, just the way that it goes. We were getting conflicting reports multiple times throughout the week. So Wednesday, he's doing all right. He's doing better. We're seeing signs of improvement. All day, we're getting these updates. He seems to be neurologically intact. Then Thursday, what the world thought was the best news, early in the morning, we get a report Thursday morning. Damar Hamlin woke up, wrote down, the first thing he wrote down, did we win? And his care team said, you won the game of life. And that's what we got. Again, I'm only reporting what the facts we got were. If that's how the conversation went down, I don't know. That's what we're being reported to. Finally, yesterday morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, we get word that Damar Hamlin, the breathing tube is out, and he's talking to his team. And the world rejoices.
Yeah. And he's able to, he has feeling in his extremities.
Yep.
He's able to squeeze.
Yep. He's able
squeeze hands of the family that's around him at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. as well as communicate, because he got a chance to actually FaceTime with teammates.
Yeah, amazing. Now, Rich, there were other things that happened in this story that we'll let you talk about, and kind of the reaction from teams, from fans, from NFL players, and also a key member of the media on ESPN directly.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there. In the aftermath of what was going on between Monday night through Friday, there was his GoFundMe page got leaked. Well, maybe not leaked, or it went public about what he was trying to do for his hometown in Pittsburgh and probably in the Buffalo area, raising money for his charity, raising money to give gifts to children.
Yep.
That exploded. I think it had a goal of like $2,500.
$2,500. No, it had a goal of, I thought it was a goal of 2,000. He had reached 2,500.
Mm-hmm. And the donations kept pouring in from NFL fans, owners, and players, his peers.
Yep.
Coming across to where there's even I even remember reading some stories about, well, how should fantasy leagues handle the uncertainty of week 17 of what happened, since a lot of people could have had their fantasy championships altered if that game had resumed, or if they had planned to make it up, which it turns out they didn't.
They didn't.
They
which is the right call.
Yeah.
100% the right call.
So, and one of those was to, you know what, donate your prize money to Damar's charity.
Yep.
Charity. Don't take the prize money this year or have co-championships. But that's another story. So a lot of, so I believe
I think the best
this
one,
charity one was up around like $5 million.
5.5 million was the last I saw. The mattress, some mattress king or mattress mart.
Mattress Mac?
Yeah.
Houston?
Yeah. Best story of them all. Donated more money than the Washington football team, whatever, the Commanders.
Yeah.
What the Commanders put in on behalf of the team. Seriously? You're a billion-dollar organization and you're going to be outdone by some random dude that owns a mattress?
Well, he is a really big furniture dealer in the Houston area.
Who cares?
But yeah, but probably nowhere on the same financial standing.
He might have a couple $1 million. And yeah, that means he can afford to donate here and there. But seriously, Washington? Now that was the lowest amount that any of the teams have done. By the way, I joke about it, but in all seriousness, none of the teams, nobody, you people who donated,
didn't have to do that.
Nobody had to do that. Doing that is awesome. Now, here's the scary part. I'm hoping that what happens is they're allowed to get that money to it as an LLC, and he can be the president of it, and he can have some funds going forward. We still don't know if he'll ever be able to play football again.
And one commentary, I don't remember the name, but it kind of spelled out is, since he's in like less than 2 years of service time in the NFL, he is not vested as an NFL player.
Right.
So if he doesn't play another down,
the
NFL owes him nothing.
Yeah. His team owes him nothing. They
could pay out the rest of his contract as a goodwill gesture.
But that contract's like $200,000, $300,000.
Yeah, he's on the league minimum, so I think he was like a second or a third round pick.
He's a second year guy. He's on league minimum. We'll unpack that in a second. We're gonna put a pin in that one and talk about it later.
So anyway, so the game was canceled.
The game was suspended.
Suspended and then canceled.
Postponed. No, it was suspended, postponed, and then yesterday they officially announced that they were canceling it.
Yes. So that has had a little bit of an impact on how the playoff standings will be determined.
Yeah.
So the NFL chose not to make the game up and affect the entire playoff schedules.
Yep.
Because the only thing affected was the team's seedings, not whether they made the playoffs or not.
Correct.
So what's going to happen is, because this affects the outcome of this game could have affected who was the number 1 overall seed. If the AFC Championship game ends up being Chiefs versus the Bills, that's going to be played on a neutral site.
Yep.
If it's Bengals-Bills, it's going to be on a neutral site. The only one that I kind of don't agree with is that if a wild card game is going to be Ravens-Bengals, they've already determined that by winning percentage that the Bengals are the North champions. But if the Ravens and Bengals face each other in the playoffs, home field is going to be determined by a coin flip.
Yeah, I think that's terrible.
I mean, if you're going to declare a team based off of winning percentage, that, all right, you're the North champions.
Yep.
It shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Then they should apply that same logic to who hosts the game.
Totally agree.
And so I don't blame the Bengals coach.
The Bengals
Taylor,
are angry about it.
or Joe Mixon.
By the way,
saying that they got the short end of the stick.
I'm going to call a quick timeout. The reaction and the way that the Bengals organization and team handled everything. I'm going to say the whole thing, but especially Monday night we'll say through yesterday, because yesterday was when we found out the official calling on it. But Monday through yesterday, the class of the league, there are going to be millions of people that become Cincinnati Bengals fans because of this, and become Buffalo Bills fans because of this.
Yeah, because they said the point should be on Damar's health.
Yeah.
And the well-being of the team.
Yep.
Because they could have said, nope, hey, we're ready. Where are you at?
Yeah.
You could have called for a tie.
A forfeiture?
A tie or a forfeiture, and fought for that, saying that, no, we've got more writing on the line than you do in this.
Yeah. They did exactly what needed to happen. It was great. I loved it. Great job. Okay. So, we talked about some of the playoff scenarios and how that's being affected. We've talked about the GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
Now it's time to get into...
And the latest health updates that we have on Damar.
Now it's time to get into fan and social media response.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about the social media side of things first.
Okay.
The immediate thing you saw, and... Ooh, okay. I'm going to call one guy out.
Okay.
There was one thing I didn't like about the broadcast. There was a guy holding a sign that said, "Pray for Buffalo, #3."
Okay.
It's Hamlin's number now, because they have crazy numbering schemes now. But that guy was trying to get on TV.
That wouldn't surprise me.
If your goal is to get people to pray for him, you hold the sign up in front of your face. He's holding it down here where his face is in full view, and you could see him texting and checking stuff on his phone, knowing that he's getting on ESPN. Now, as that continues, that kind of set the tone of the week. Yeah.
Which is NFL Live. Was that on Wednesday?
So let's back up before we get to that discussion. Everybody on social media, prayers for Damar. I love that concept. It's great. We're gonna get to that. This is where we're going. We're talking about prayers and what prayer is, and then on Wednesday, Rich, go ahead and share.
Yeah. I didn't see it live. I only saw it through Facebook through a friend of mine, Junior.
Yep.
Junior posted it. I shared it. Austin Treepeck shared my thing.
Yep.
Of Dan Orlovsky praying on air, saying that the entire tone of the week has been prayers for Damar. Keep Damar up in your prayers. And again, having that heartfelt response of, I just really feel that we should take time to pray for him. And he prayed for him on air, which
and
is
in
great.
fact, I'm going to do it here, and I'm going to do it out loud. And if you want to stop me, like he gave ESPN a way to say, "Oh, technical difficulties, we're going off air." But
or
he didn't.
They could have cut his mic and talked to the other broadcaster saying, his mic's cut.
Yeah, they could have done any of that. They didn't. They let it go. It felt a little awkward with the other announcers or the other people not knowing what's going on and figuring that out. It's fine. Now we get into where I want to go with it.
That's fine.
And I told Rich about it. Rich had this preview. I'm glad you feel called to pray. But I got 3 questions for you, Rich.
Okay.
Question number 1. Do you know the God that you're praying to? Now, I've done some research. It looks like Dan Orlovsky knows the God that he's praying to. Number 2, is that the God of the Bible? And when I say the Bible, I mean from in to amen, starting with God the Father, the Creator, His Son, the spoken Word of God, who became flesh, Jesus Christ, come down, died for our sins, rose from the dead to open up everlasting life for us, and the Holy Spirit, who is sent to help us and comfort us. That is one triune God, the God of the Trinity. Is that the God you're praying to? Otherwise, you're praying to a small g God, and it goes upon deaf ears. It is a ringing gong, as the Bible says to us. And number 3, and this is the most important question. I asked you at the beginning, the first question I asked is, do you know the God that you're praying to? But most importantly, does the God you're praying to know who you are? Are you in regular prayers to know so that He knows your voice? Are you in regular communication, and are you regularly chasing after Him? Or is this just, it's what we say on social media? If you can answer, yes, I know the God I'm praying to. Yes, it's the God of the Bible. And yes, I know He knows who I am. Great. Otherwise, as the Bible tells us, you are a resounding gong, and it means nothing. It is lip service, and you need to 1, meet that God. 2, make sure you're meeting the God of the Bible. And 3, get to know Him so well that He knows you. That's it. I've done research. It looks like Dan Orlovsky, I feel, knew who he was talking to. It was the God of the Bible. And it does appear that from his outward expression regularly, that he knows that God knows who He is. I'm okay with that. But if you don't, you can reach out to us. We'll talk to you about it. We're not experts here. We're not theologians, but we know who God is. We know the God of the Bible. And we are in regular communication with Him, that He knows who we are. If you don't know that and you need to, reach out to us. Our Facebook pages are wide open. You can find us there. Put something in the comments. Let us know. We want to help you know that you know that. Because one day's coming where we're all going to be judged. And He's going to look at people who prayed in His name, who cast out demons, and say, I never knew you. Because they didn't really have a relationship. They just were giving lip service. We don't want you to be one of those. So that's where I saw the week. That's the problems I had with this week, is that we saw people doing this. And then this upcoming week, they're going to talk about how God doesn't exist. And you can't do that. That is a fundamental problem that I see. So, sorry for that whole derailment, but also remember that the prayers of the faithful went up, God heard those prayers, and we have a young man who died on the field. We watched him on national television die, be brought back to life through miraculous healing and through the works of those people. Those people that did the CPR and used that defibrillator, those people saved that man's life. And we got to watch it. God worked through those people to bring him back so he could talk to his team yesterday. He could be, he's neurologically there, he's physically there. That's why we say praise the Lord.
Yep. And I think getting a chance for him to talk to his team was, I think, a key thing on whether that team could have played
Oh, yeah.
as well as they could in week number 18, and that's why they couldn't resume the game.
Yeah.
Because by all means, we've seen players go off the field on a stretcher.
How many times?
In an ambulance.
Yeah.
But what's being done as they're going off the field? They're giving like a thumbs up as they're going off the field.
We got none of that.
Or the team knows, all right, it was this type of injury. That happens because we play the game of football.
Yeah.
This type of injury, unprecedented in the game.
Now, what kind of the way this injury happened, but we have had people. There's been a man who died on the field while playing with Dick Butkus.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Everybody's saying this has never happened. We've never seen something like this. You know what else we've seen in our lifetime? A man named Dennis Byrd, New York Jet, breaks his neck on the field, and his breathing. When you break your neck, your breathing can become unstable. All sorts of things can happen. We've seen that happen. He couldn't move. He couldn't move anything. They took him off the field in an ambulance. Couldn't move a thing, so he didn't give that thumbs up. We've seen that in our lifetime. In our lifetime, that's happened. So we've seen now, have we seen somebody has somebody received CPR to bring them back to life? No. That part is unprecedented. But we've seen serious injuries like this happen before in the game in ways that we don't actually know what's going on. So before we start, yes, the exact injury and the exact way it happens, those are unprecedented. But we have had similar things happen even in our lifetime, which is crazy to think about. You don't remember
No,
Dennis
I don't
Byrd?
remember that one.
Yeah. Broke his neck. There's actually a whole movie on it called Rise and Walk, the Dennis Byrd story. Spoiler alert, he ended up being determined enough to be able to walk. So, yeah. Check it out. If you've never heard that story, seriously, I would look up Dennis Byrd, Rise and Walk, or Rise and Walk, the Dennis Byrd story. So, put that on your list. Maybe you don't even need to watch it. It's kind of a fun movie. It's a good movie. So, okay, that's what happened this week. Any more on that story that you want to talk about, or do you have any input on anything I said?
No, you
Okay.
did a great job on it. And,
Okay.
let's keep the show moving. I'm glad to hear that he's doing well and he's still probably has a very long road to recovery.
Yeah.
But
Oh no, we didn't finish on that whole topic.
okay, well
We did. You noted it. We never actually finished the conversation. So, and I will echo. Who's the guy that does the Nickelodeon? Nate Burkus.
Nate Burleson.
Nate Burleson.
Oh,
He was on, and I don't remember what show it was, but he said, "This is why we fight for things. As soon as you step out onto that field, you should have lifetime insurance, and you should have some sort of minimal investment viability." Because, by the way, if this was his first year in the league, this is his second year in the league. He has nothing. No guarantees. No guarantees on anything. No guarantees on his salary. No guarantees on. I don't even know if he's going to get a game check for this week. The game didn't officially happen. Does the team hand out game checks? I don't know. I didn't do the research on it, but they don't have to give out. He might not get a game check. By the way, so this would be covered under workman's comp. The injury itself, the recovery should be covered under workman's comp. But after that, he is guaranteed nothing for salary for the rest of his life, for anything. Now, do I think that he is going to be able to turn this into an ability to be an on-air personality, an analyst, a motivational speaker, 100% he will be able to. But the game of football owes him nothing if he never steps on the field.
Yep. And they could quietly put him on the PUP list, physically unable to perform.
So he was put on injured reserve today.
And then just quietly release him.
Yep. And that would probably make headlines, but here's some things we got to talk about on that. Next time the NFL comes to negotiating, by the way, we had that, last year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, they came to negotiations. And they talked about stuff. And the owners did a great job of painting the players as greedy because of the things they were asking for. By the way, what were they asking for? They were asking for lifetime insurance, dropping where you have to be fully vested. So the NFL team owners say, oh, well, you've only played with us for 3 years. You have to put some skin in the game. You've only played for 3 years. No, he hasn't played just for 2 years. What about 5 years in college that he was eligible for? What about 4 years of high school? What about junior high? What about Pup League? By the way, just because they're little kids and they're lining up and hitting each other, A, they don't hit each other the right way, and B, doesn't mean they don't get injuries. From the age of 6 to the age of 22, 23, 24? I don't remember how old they are. He's been playing football that whole time. No, he hasn't been on a roster in the NFL that whole time. But he's been working to get to this point. Because if you don't do junior high, I won't say you have to do Pup League, but if you don't start early, you don't start getting those workouts in, and you don't start setting that foundation. The foundation is set in junior high, in Pop Warner. You set the foundation there. And then you move up. And then in high school, you build on that foundation to make you the player that gets into college. And then in college, you are building on that foundation to make it so you can get to the NFL. You're right. You weren't on a team for that long, but you've been working that long to get to that point. And we don't see that. We don't talk about that. But when the owners are saying, look at these guys, they're greedy, they want us to do this, they've been putting their bodies through this for years just to get to you.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Players Association says, hey, we think we need to be fully vested right away. One game gets you minimum viability. I think personally, if you play one game, if you start in one game, I'll say start, but I honestly think it should be if you play in one game. If you're on an active roster for one game, we can even say regular season, you should at minimum get, we can even say $50,000 a year.
Or have a tier system. Have a tier set up.
Your first year you get $50,000 if you're out after that. Your second year you get $80,000. Then your third year you're fully vested, and it's based on what your salary is. But do it like because if he never plays again, he's maybe made $500,000 in the league at best.
Probably.
That's not going very far when you talk about the fact that he has, they'll pay for his recovery, but will they pay for his... They won't go to his house if he needs modifications done to his house. They're not going to do... If he needs a new car, if he needs a different type of car, any of these things, they're not going to pay for that. He's stuck. And $500,000? How far is that going to go?
Probably not far enough.
No. This is why these guys are fighting for these things, and this is why I think when next time the negotiations come through, Rich will tell you, I argued on the players' behalf this last go round. I was very much on the players' behalf. Why? Because I see that they've been putting themselves through this for years, and I know we can't call them greedy. Okay. I think that's kind of where we're going to end that one. We got a lot to do because we got deep into that. Rich, let's go to Week 18, talk about our picks, our locks, our upsets, and then we'll hit our bowl games. And
do we want to do power rankings this week?
Let's skip power rankings.
All right, that's fair. All right, Mike, so last week of the regular season, you have the even weeks. Who are you going with for your lock of the week?
My lock of the week this week is going to be the LA Chargers over the Denver Broncos. Those Broncos are terrible. They're not playing for anything. They don't care. The Chargers may not have as much to play for, but I still think they're a better team, even if they play only second stringers.
I don't know about that one, Mike. I mean, the Broncos put a scare and made that game with the Chiefs closer than it probably should have been. But yeah, you're right. They have nothing to play for. Jerry Roseberg, their interim coach, has already said, I'm not coming back next year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would caution that because, I mean, by all means, I mean, I don't know how much they'll play their starters for the last game of the regular season either.
It's a rough week to pick because I think every game is a divisional game.
Almost. I think so. So for my lock of the week, I'm going to go with the 49ers over the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a mess right now.
Yeah.
The coach may not return next year. They're on like their fourth quarterback now. And the 49ers got something to play for as they could get the number 1 overall seed in the conference if the Eagles lose.
Yeah, that's going to be, man.
So you know that they're going to be playing for something.
I'm actually changing my upset of the week.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm going to do it.
All right.
Houston Texans over the Indianapolis Colts.
All right.
Neither team really has anything to play for. Lovie Smith has no quit in him.
All right.
He doesn't. So I think he will play his team hard. Lovie Smith takes that win. That's going to put the Bears at the number 1 overall pick.
All right. So because you changed your pick, Mike, I'm going to change mine, and I'm going to take Browns over the Steelers.
I love that pick. That's actually what my first pick was. That really was what my first pick was. What was your other pick besides that, Rich?
I was thinking the Panthers over the Saints. Divisional game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Steelers, by all means, the Steelers need to win.
Yep.
Cleveland has played better of late
Yes.
as Deshaun Watson's gotten into more game form.
Yep.
So they got something to play for because they're looking for what can we use as a springboard into 2023 and what do we need to do to improve the team around Cooper, Watson, and Shaw. What do we need to do to improve that core, like big three?
Yep.
And I don't like the Steelers. So
Yeah, good.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Bears have the Vikings coming into town.
Yep.
No Justin Fields, as they're putting him in bubble wrap and declaring him out of the game.
Officially, they've done that?
Yep.
I haven't seen that, so I'm actually changing that pick then too. The Vikings are going to win this game. I know the Vikings are going to win this game. I did pick the Bears in pre-show only because I made the prediction at the beginning of the year that this game was going to matter to both these teams. It ends up not mattering to these teams. Well, it could. It could. Again, if the Bears, now they play at the same time, but if Houston wins, the Bears would then be playing for the number 1 pick overall, losing for the number 1 pick overall. And the Vikings, if they win and San Francisco loses, the Vikings then get number 2 overall.
The Vikings get number 2 overall?
In the division.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the conference.
In the conference,
Yeah, they would.
So the Vikings have something to play for.
The Vikings have something to play for.
Exactly. Do they want to face the New York Giants, or do they want to face either the Seahawks or the Lions, the team that gets the last playoff spot?
By the way, okay, I'm a
say right now. The Lions or the Packers.
There are 2 teams I do not want to play right now in the NFL, and they're playing each other.
Is that the Packers and the Lions?
Packers and the Lions. Whoever wins that game, If the Lions win, they're in the playoffs.
No.
I thought if the Lions win, they're in.
So,
Okay.
So the Packers get in with a win.
Okay,
They
that's
get
what
the
it
win.
is.
They control their destiny.
So if the Packers win, they're in.
Yes.
If the
If the Seattle Seahawks beat the Rams and the Lions beat the Packers, the Seahawks get the final NFC playoff spot. If the Seahawks lose and the Lions beat the Packers, the Lions get the playoff spot.
Okay. Of those three teams, what's the team you want to play against? If you let's say you're the Vikings.
Okay?
You're the Vikings. Of those three teams, which one do you want to play the least?
I'd have to say the team I want to play least is the Packers.
I disagree. I say it's the Lions. Now, I think the Packers are a very close second because we see that Aaron Rodgers is in up yours mode. Check me out. I'm actually better than you. I'm actually that good mode, which is a scary place for him to be. They're still going to lose. They're still not going to make the Super Bowl. But man, you are right. That Packers team is good, and they are.
And they proved it last week by getting a win against the Vikings. That wasn't even a close game.
Yeah. No. So I think that whole game so honestly, the team I want to play most of those three, the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm. I can totally agree with that.
The
Seahawks don't have as much game tape on you.
Nope.
There's no rivalry, history, divisional bad blood against either of those teams.
Right.
That you're getting with the Packers and Lions. And quite frankly, I think both the Packers and the Lions have been playing with house money.
They 100% are.
Neither of them at the midway point, you were wondering the Lions were being the Lions.
Yep.
And the Packers were really disappointing.
Yeah. It is a scary thought to be if you are a Vikings fan coming up. Okay, Rich. So
next week we'll do our final power rankings.
Yep.
As where we rank the teams with all the regular season games being played. We're going to take a look. We're going to give you predictions for all of the wild card games, not just a lock and an upset. We'll review our postseason predictions as well as give you our pre-postseason predictions for the conference championships and the Super Bowl.
Okay, Rich, we're gonna do lightning round.
Got it.
For college bowl games. The Orange Bowl, Tennessee, Clemson. You pick Tennessee, I pick Clemson. Tennessee won. That makes you 1-0. Rich, how'd the Sugar Bowl go?
The Sugar Bowl saw the Alabama Crimson Tide beat up on Kansas State 45-20. I had Alabama. You had Alabama, improving my mark to 2-0. You're 1-1 now.
In the Music City Bowl, we had Iowa versus Kentucky. We both thought Kentucky was going to win that game. Iowa shut out Kentucky. The first shutout we've had since 2009?
They said that was the first shutout in the Music City Bowl's history.
Right, but I'm saying the first shutout in a bowl game by a Big Ten school since I think 2009.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Iowa wins. You go to 2-1. I go to 1-2. In the
ReliaQuest Bowl, Mississippi State, Illinois. It was 19-10 Mississippi State. I took Mississippi State with them, and they got the victory in honor of their late coach Mike Leach. You went with the hometown Illini. 3-1, 1-3 for you, Mike. Mike, how'd the Cotton Bowl go?
Cotton Bowl, Tulane versus USC. Tulane wins. We both picked USC. That brings you to 3-2 and me to 1-4. In the Citrus Bowl, LSU played Purdue. We both picked LSU. They destroyed Purdue, making them look like a high school team, if you will. LSU brings your record to 4-2 and me to 2-4.
All right. The Rose Bowl was Penn State versus Utah, and it was 35-21 Penn State, bringing my record up to 5-2. Mike, you took Utah and dropped to 2-5.
Yep, give us the Fiesta Bowl.
All right, that was the college football national. There was a quarter championship football semifinal matchup between TCU and Michigan. We both took Michigan, and TCU pulled an upset, 51-45.
Yeah, great game. And then in the final semifinal of the week, we had the Peach Bowl, Ohio State and Georgia. You picked Georgia. I picked the Ohio State University, bringing your record to 6-3 with Georgia winning 42-41.
That was a close game.
Great game.
Didn't watch any of it, but it was a great game.
The kicker lost the game for Ohio State in the last second, bringing you to 6-3 and me to 2-7. Rich, this week on Monday we have the national championship game. TCU Georgia. How are you gonna pick?
This is a tough one because after seeing what TCU did to Michigan, it almost has that feeling of they're a team of destiny almost, and seeing how much Georgia barely pulled it out against Ohio State. But I got to give it to a bigger name school like Georgia, so I'm going to go with Georgia.
I am on the TCU bandwagon. I am picking TCU for this game. Let's see them go.
All right, and Mike, as far as quick hits to round out the show, the Cubs have a new first baseman, or at least a platoon first baseman,
right,
as they signed Eric Hosmer.
So
the league minimum.
What do you think that changes the discussion we had last week?
I don't remember everything about last week, but if anything, is Eric Hosmer, or you're signing a shell of Eric Hosmer.
Yes.
He got that big contract from the Padres based off of what he did in 14 and 15 with the Royals.
Yep.
He still plays a good first. He's still got a good glove, but you're going to take what you can get out from the plate from him. But
so last week we talked about willpower,
Patrick
Wisdom, and we talked about where we thought he should end up playing and whether or not he's an everyday starter. Now, with Eric Hosmer, should solidly be mostly, he's only going to play first base.
Yeah.
Do you think he could be an everyday guy at first base? We'll take the bat out of his hand. We won't talk about that because honestly, he's not going to be
obviously, I mean, I see him hitting maybe 250, 260, which right now with the league the way it is, that's not that bad.
Nope.
And if you can get 12 to 20 homers out of him, you'll take that.
Yeah.
Because you go nothing to this guy.
Yeah.
The Padres are paying the bulk of his salary.
Yep.
So you're only paying him the league minimum.
Yep.
So if he doesn't work out, you can cut him.
But does that give Patrick Wisdom a solid place to, okay, you're third baseman now?
No. He's the DH. Because you got Christopher Morel that can play third base.
You do. Okay.
Or he plays first base, because I think Wisdom's a right-handed hitter.
Yeah.
So you could platoon and sit Hosmer if he doesn't meet expectations.
Yeah, I suppose.
And this also gives a chance to give Matt Mervis, a guy that came out of nowhere and rose through the ranks.
Yep.
Rose up through the minor leagues. You could start him in AAA. You don't have that pressure. All right, let's see what happens. And take what you get and have him get some time at DH or first base.
Yep.
So I like this Hosmer signing mostly because we don't owe him anything. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, you know what? If it doesn't and Mervis continues and proves that his numbers last year down in the minors weren't a fluke and you want to bring them up, you can.
Yep.
So overall, I like it.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of the show. Rich, any shout-outs that you have this week?
I got to say a happy birthday to my youngest nephew, Reed, as he had a birthday shortly after the New Year, short after we recorded last week's show.
Awesome. And then I have 3 shout-outs to give. My cousin Todd, his birthday was this last week. And then my cousins Tim and James, their birthday is today, I believe, if I remember correctly. So, happy birthday, guys. We love you guys. Rich, people are watching us on Facebook, but they want to take us on the road. Maybe listen to us on a 15-hour road trip down to Texas. How should they do that?
You know what? Look us up wherever you download your podcasts from. Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, just to name a few. All our carriers, you can find us. Just search Balls and Sticks. Mike, if they're listening to us out in podcast land, they want to see our faces, but they don't really like Facebook. Where else can they find us?
You can find us on YouTube. Just search for Balls and Sticks. Look for Rich and I set up to bat in tuxedos.
Yeah, and as always, if you want to see our poll questions or get notified when we go live on Facebook, make sure to like Balls and Sticks, the podcast, and also fans of Balls and Sticks you can find our poll questions and on the live feed for the show on both pages.
Okay. With that being said, let's roll the outro.